I'm finally getting around to making part 2 of Modern Goth Bands. If you haven't seen the first one, I highly recommend watching it. There's a lot of really good bands in it. I've got a few more in that one than I will in this video. It took a while to get to this one since I was waiting for some albums to get in the mail. But without further ado, this band is This Cold Night. This album is The Enigmatic Individual. It's really good. I discovered them through the song Black Cathedral. They did put that on this album. It's got some new songs by them and then some songs that were from previous releases. Aside from Black Cathedral on this release, I also really like The Enigmatic Individual and Dead Cold Autumn. This one is Mekong from Poland. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. They were nice enough to send this one to me. It is their latest release, End of the World. I really like it. It is post-punk and very, very classic sounding. So if you like more old school music, I highly recommend giving Mekong a listen. Also, this album is really pretty. It's like a cool, clear vinyl. This is Traitrs. They are post-punk from Ontario. They are also fantastic. They're, I think, a little bit more popular right now, so you might have heard of these guys. I think they've definitely got a newer sound to them, but you can definitely hear the old school influence. I really like them. My favorite songs on this album are going to be Pale and Thin Flesh. I highly recommend checking this one out. Plus, if you like vinyl like I do, this album I got in white. This is Jason Priest's Jason Priest is Missing. This one again is really pretty and looks like the album cover when you look at the actual vinyl. Jason Priest is very Depeche Mode and kind of New Order sounding, so if you like stuff kind of like that, that's a little bit more on the new wave side but very goth adjacent, you'd probably like Jason Priest. My favorite songs on here are probably going to be When the Clown Cries and White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. This is Glass Spells. They are, I would say, probably goth pop or like synth pop, something like that, along those lines. They have some Indian inspiration, really cool music videos, and the vinyl is also really gorgeous and complements the album cover. My favorite songs on here are going to be Thrills and Confessions. So next I'm going to be moving on to CDs. I tend to prefer records and tapes, but a lot of these albums you can only get on CD, so I have ended up with quite a few CDs at this point. This one is Susie Sabotage. She is fantastic. I love it. It's very cold wave and dark wave sounding, super danceable. This album is postmodern dystopia. I think my two favorite songs on here are going to be Dystopia and The World is a Heartache. She also has a single release that's Nazi Goths Fuck Off, and I love that one so much too. That's the one that I found her through. This is Ashes Fallen from California. They are very goth rock. Some of my favorite songs on here are Stand Your Ground, Vampyrean, and Requiem. It's got some pretty demanding vocals, very tasteful solos, and it's just super relaxing to listen to. So you might know The Wake, they're a 90s goth band, but they did just put out this album, Perfumes and Fripperies. I think my favorite song on it is going to be Hammer Hall. If you haven't listened to The Wake before, they've got a very goth rock sound. So if you like something that sounds more old school, or if you want to delve into some bands that are older and have been putting out new music, then this is probably going to be for you. Now this is Black Angel. They're another goth rock band. I discovered them through this release. It's Kiss of Death. I love a lot of the tracks on this. Some of my favorite tracks on this one are going to be Kiss of Death, Alchemy, and Call the Night. And then this is Prince of Darkness. It's kind of a sequel to Kiss of Death. Two of my favorite songs on here are going to be Serene, and then there's a Call the Night, and it's kind of like part 2 to Call the Night on this album. So this is The Hunger by Vampyrean. This is for all you vampire goths out there. The whole thing is very vampire-y. It's so good. It's again more of a goth rock taste. It's got some newer influence to it. And it's a solo project with some guest appearances. Some of my favorite songs on here are going to be In Vain, Crimson Dreams, Your Nightmare, and The Hunger, the title track. But again, perfect for vampire goths, and it's really good. It's kind of got like a 90s sound to it, I think, but I really like it. This is Actors, It Will Come to You. They're a dark wave post-punk mix. They are absolutely phenomenal. Some of my favorite songs on here are Face Meets Glass and We Don't Have to Dance. It's super, super fun, kind of swirly sounding, very danceable. I really like it. They're from British Columbia. I highly recommend checking out Actors. They've got some more releases. Their most recent album is even better than this one. They are just great. This is Koberg, Position of Power from London. It's not what I usually talk about. I usually try to stay away from gothic metal. I do think that it's a little bit different from like a lot of the gothic metal that I've normally heard, and figured it was worth talking about, especially for people that do like gothic metal. It's got some really tasteful solos and kind of some symphonic sounds. Some of my favorite songs on here are Forbidden Realms and Spirit Call. This is Here Lies by Starry Night. I have just recently fallen in love with them. They're from Florida. They're kind of like a dark wave post-punk mix. And two of my favorite songs on this album are going to be Leave the Winter on the Ground and Dearly Beloved. So I highly recommend checking these guys out. They're very danceable. If you like bands like Plastique Noir from my first recommendation video, then you would probably like them too. Or, I don't know, the vocals are kind of reminiscent of Vandal Moon also, so if you like Vandal Moon, you might like them. But definitely check them out in their other releases. So those are all the vinyl and CDs that I have, and I unfortunately don't have any tapes for us this round. But another one of the bands that I want to talk about, even though they don't have any physical media, is Necromancers Union. I love Necromancers Union. It's a solo project, and my favorite song by them is Ghosts. They just put out a full album. I do think I like the original version of Ghosts more, but there's so much good stuff by them. They're very goth rock. You can kind of see what they look like here. They do finally have stuff on Spotify. You can also find them on Bandcamp and on YouTube. Another one that I've recently fallen in love with is Ringerfinger. I don't know how I didn't find them until now. It seems kind of surprising to me. They do have some cassette tapes and they might have some other physical media, but I don't have any of those yet. So I'll just talk about some of my favorite songs by them. Some of my favorite songs by them are going to be Cloak and Dagger and Floor Show. I highly recommend checking them out. They're more of a cold wave and dark wave taste, depending on what songs you listen to. And you can find them on other streaming services as well. The Nightchild is another good goth rock band. I don't think they have any physical releases, but I could be wrong. I found them initially through Bandcamp. You can find some of their stuff on Spotify. I don't think I've checked to see if they have anything on YouTube yet, but you can find them on Bandcamp and Spotify for sure. Now this one, I have talked about them before, it's the Long Lost, but they did just barely come out with this new release, so I thought I'd mention it in this video. It's At This Late Hour. I really like this release too. It's just as fun as the album I've talked about before and all of their other releases. It's very spooky and danceable and just fun. My favorite songs on this one are probably going to be Back in the Dark with You and their title track, At This Late Hour. And then Vandal Moon is another band that I've talked about on here before, but this is an album that they had not had released physically yet, or at least on vinyl. So you can get this one on vinyl now too. So if you liked Vandal Moon from part 1, then you might check this out too, because I know I only talked about Black Kiss there. Plus, this one you can get in pretty colors as usual. And then if you want to keep up with modern goth music, I do have a modern goth band playlist on YouTube and on Spotify. I do tend to keep things more updated on Spotify, and I have a lot more playlists on there. I also created a 2021 playlist. I think it's called Goth Favorites of 2021. I don't remember fully, but you can find it on there. And it's got specific releases to this year or last year, depending on when you're watching this video. I highly recommend checking those out because they've got a ton of stuff that I haven't even talked about in any of my videos on here, and you can just find so many great bands.